Merhabalar, ben Şükrü. P2P'nin bu bölümünde Liza Naygut ile birlikte olacağız. Liza, Blockstream'de Core Lightning üzerine çalışıyor. Core Lightning, Lightning ile iletişime geçmenin farklı bir yolu. Hani hali hazırda bildiğimiz LND'den farklı olan bir yolu. Liza ile bu bölümde Core Lightning'i, Core Lightning üzerindeki Greenfield API'yi, Base 58'i ve düzenledikleri konferansları konuşacağız. Umarım bölüm hoşunuza gidecektir. Hi Liza.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm good, and I hope you are doing good as well.
Yeah, doing okay.
Yeah, just the winter cold, and yeah, everything got hit by that. So today, yeah, we are together to talk about yeah, developing on Bitcoin, and your coding camp base 58, and yeah, I'll ask you questions about that, and we'll see how it goes. So, when did you start like working on Bitcoin or programming on Bitcoin?
Yeah, I started in 2018. So it's been almost I guess we're getting close to 5 years at this point, which is a lot.
Yeah.
I started at Cash App working on their back end, like the custodial wallet that they have. Is Cash App? I don't know how well known Cash App is. Uh,
Uh, I
they're
like
US based.
it's not used in Turkey at all. I know it because of the Jack Dorsey and Miles and all that, but it's not like very well known in Turkey at the moment.
Yeah, I think they're mostly the US based only. But anyways, I was working on basically a big custodial wallet and then ended up getting hired by Blockstream to be one of the Core Lightning contributors, like basically pretty soon after that. So
Okay, so core lightning is a new word for this channel, I think, because we like recently started to talk about lightning, and yeah, I never had a discussion about the implementations of lightning. So what is core lightning?
yeah, so Core Lightning is a Lightning implementation written mostly in C. It used to be called C Lightning. We changed the name in April because we started introducing small like Rust packages into the project. So it was no longer like pure C. So it was like, okay, we can change it over to something slightly different. We'll just give the C a
Yeah.
meaning. So we decided we'd call it Core Lightning. Um, so I work on Core Lightning. It's one of like I think there's like four big implementations these days of Lightning. One thing that like so I work with one of the I would call him kind of like editor in chief of the Lightning spec. You know, the specs were a collaborative process, but Rusty Russell, who works on Core Lightning with me, is like probably one of the largest contributors, at least to the process. And one of the cool things about Lightning that Rusty set out to kind of like, along with, a bunch of other people when they were building Lightning, is they wanted it to be decentralized, both in like implementation
Mm-hmm.
as well. So, like, the fact that there's four different teams working on implementations, I think, is an important part of Lightning being like really decentralized. So, like, Bitcoin, we want to be decentralized, but there's really only one implementation. Lightning is decentralized and it's actually like decentralized, like all
That's
the way
good.
through.
I like it because it also brings robustness to the system. Because like, yeah, one of my friends also, Brock, kind of attacked LND like
Yeah.
twice in the last couple of months.
Yeah. Recently.
C Lightning, I think some implementations of or some versions of C Lightning or Lightning Core was affected, but most of it was up.
Yeah, so the bug that took down LND is in this library package called BTCD, which
Mhm.
parses Bitcoin blocks, and it wasn't able to parse blocks that had certain transactions in them. So Core Lightning is really extensible and pluggable. So if you were running Core Lightning and you were Core Lightning lets you pick where you get your block source from.
Mhm.
Um, Most people use Bitcoin D and run their own node, which is like kind of like I'll call it like the least trusted way, because your Bitcoin core node is parsing the blocks for itself, and then Core Lightning just like trust that you've picked a block source that you trust, and we just kind of assume it'll be good data that you're sending over from whatever block source you picked. A few people who run Core Lightning, though, swapped out what I would call like their block source to something that was using BTCD, which was a library that had problems. So they had trouble with their Core Lightning node, but it was for the same reason that the LND team went down. Like they were using the exact same library.
LND has a default BTCD
Yeah.
in them. That's why like they all kind of get
Well,
in.
so for Core Lightning, we've got this nice separation of concerns between your block data and like what Core Lightning's doing. So you kind of got to pick you got to pick your block download like source.
Mhm.
That's totally separate. LND, even if you were using Bitcoin D, uses BTCD in the main library for like what LND is doing when it parses blocks. So it didn't matter what block source you were using for LND, it was still a problem.
Yeah, because it was always somewhat dependent on the BTCD parsers or something.
Yeah, exactly. Like they use that as part of their core implementation in LND, is my understanding.
Yeah. So also you said you work with Rusty Russell. Uh,
Yeah.
he's also part of the reason why you probably changed the name to Lightning Core or Core Lightning because it's the Rust guy. So you know.
Actually, Rusty doesn't write any Rust, which is funny
Oh,
because his name is like, yeah, it's from Christian Decker is another Core Lightning maintainer who's been there for even longer than I have. Like he and Rusty have been working on Core Lightning for a very long time now. He's the one who started doing more stuff in Rust for part of what he's working on Greenlight. So maybe we could talk about Greenlight a bit. I don't know exactly what the roadmap is. I know that there's been some exciting announcements around like Breeze is building on Greenlight. So their next project, they're building like an LSP library. So I think my understanding is that Breeze is building an SDK that anyone can build a Lightning node on top of or Lightning implementation with. And that'll be backed by Greenlight, which is the project that we've been working on. And that has a lot of stuff in Rust. Anyways, that's a lot.
but I'm surprised to hear that Rusty doesn't have anything to do with Rust. That was always my default assumption.
Yeah, no.
No, it's like, Rockstar developer. He's like, I'm a Rockstar developer because of my nightlife, not because I'm a Rockstar developer. It's like something like that.
That sounds like something Rusty would say, yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, well, what is green light? But like, I need an Eli 5 or, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really great question. So I think, and like before we started recording, I think you kind of asked me, like, you're a node runner, you've never run Core Lightning. Where would be the best place to start? I think right now for Core Lightning, we're like, there's a lot of projects that are still working on, I think, adding some Core Lightning adoption. Like, I think you could run it on Umbrel.
Mhm.
We're working with Voltage. I think Voltage is going to launch a Core Lightning option sometime this soon. So I've heard, but like the thing with running a Lightning node on like a Raspberry Pi or like on some home hardware is that right now the way that Lightning stands is that there's a lot of things that can go wrong when running a Lightning node that can cause you to maybe lose money, right?
Yeah.
Um, if your node falls offline, that's bad. If you have a problem with your disk and it like stops working, so you have disk loss or you lose state for some reason, that's bad. Um, if you right. So the idea with Greenlight is that it would be really nice to have a Lightning node running in a like server, like somewhere like a virtual private server box you
Or,
rent.
yeah. Like a voltage cloud, maybe. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Like Voltage Cloud offers, for example. And the why that's nice is that you get a box that's like someone else is keeping online all the time. It has a fixed IP address. So if you want, you can do maybe some more ClearNet stuff instead of having to use Tor. You don't worry so much about data loss or disk going down because you assume that to some extent they're handling all the backup and replication for you, right?
have some redundancy and all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So the problem with doing that with the current Lightning implementation, so let's say you take LND or you take Core Lightning or you take like async for the most part, I think. and you just take the node as it is and you start running it in the cloud, all of a sudden you're keeping private key material in a computer that you don't know who has access to, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the whole idea with Greenlight is like, okay, what if we could separate these private keys and let you, the user, decide where to keep the private keys? Maybe there's some cool mobile phone app that you keep them
Yeah.
on, and you have like a written backup like as well. So now you've got like a backup somewhere, or you've like got it on a Raspberry Pi at home that's running and has your keys. So
Mm-hmm.
like the private key material stays in your possession and you know who has access to it, but we're able to take like the node part, like all the part about we want like keeping online and keeping track of like your database backups, etc. And we were able to keep that in the cloud. So
That's
Greenlight,
perfect. Uh,
yes, Greenlight is like a long time. Christian Decker has been the master, genius brain master behind it. He's been working on it for I want to say a few years now. They're getting really close to launch. Breeze is like their first integration partner who's built out like an SDK on top of it. But yeah, so that's what Greenlight is, and that's kind of we're hoping. It kind of jokes that Blockstream has a wallet called Green
yeah.
that doesn't have lightning on it. So the name Green Light comes from the idea that we would be able to get this is how we would get lightning onto green. Um, so
Yeah.
so it's sort of built with the idea of like kind of like starting from first principles. We want people who have mobile wallets to be able to use Lightning, but we don't think that running Lightning nodes on phones is like the best way to go.
On
So
Raspberry Pis.
yeah. So how can we scale Lightning and give millions of, maybe even billions of people the ability to have custodial Lightning? What would that look like? And I think Greenlight is our like attempt at an answer.
Yeah. Oh, for example, for me, like I don't keep a lot of funds on my Raspberry Pi because first of all, I'm not technical. So if something gets messed up, I will be in trouble. Like I'll be worried and all that stuff. So it's kind of like a play stuff, and it's for more for experimenting for me. Yeah. So something like that would definitely help me because yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's yeah. So I'm excited about that project. Hopefully that'll get out soon, and then hopefully we'll be able to see a lot of people build new projects on top of it that makes like all kinds of new ways of accessing Lightning.
Yeah, so like you said, the online server stuff is one part of it. You could probably do many more things using Greenlight. And, yeah, it's exciting. So, you also work on Greenlight at the moment.
No, so I haven't been involved in Greenlight. I've been just doing core Lightning stuff mostly.
What does a core Lightning person do actually? Like, so it's-
Yeah, that's a great question. So I work kind of with what I would call kind of like the spec side of things. So in addition to, if there's bugs and stuff that come up, um, that's not wait, let me think this through. What have I been working on lately? Lately I've been running conferences. No, but my project lately, so I've a few years ago actually, I proposed a spec update to how Lightning works called dual funding. So we've been working to it shipped a while ago in Core Lightning, the first implementation of that, but another project, Async or Eclair, has basically re-implemented the spec in their project. So what I've been working on recently is making sure that our implementation works with their implementation, which would mean that once we got it, there's a few small things I think we're like working through. Like there are a few last minute changes that we did on Monday. We had a spec meeting and changed a few things. So I need to update our implementation, but the idea is that like this means that we're moving Lightning forward in terms of adding additional functionality to how Lightning works. And so I like kind of help write the specs and then implement it and then work with other teams to get their integration up and working. I've also been working, I also had this big project the last year for working on adding like really good bookkeeping to Core Lightning. So I know tax time hasn't come out yet since it's been
yeah,
running, but it's like it'll export some really nice CSVs that let you see where you're spending, where all your sats are going, where you're earning sats. Really hoping someone builds me a nice dashboard on top of all
Yeah,
that
like
data
a
for
panel to
Christmas.
see everything clearly.
Yeah, so you have all the data now. No one's built like a really nice dashboard. I keep hoping someone will magically make that happen. I might have to make that happen. I don't know, but
You may have to make some manifestations about it, or
I'm just
like,
gonna keep saying it on podcasts until someone
yeah.
like decides to take me up on it. But Santa, if you're listening, all I want for Christmas is a nice dashboard on top of my Core Lightning bookkeeper data.
Are you sure you want this as your Christmas gift, or?
I think so. Yeah, if I had to pick, that would be a big
I
one.
think it would save a lot of people from tax troubles, and because in Turkey we don't have taxes on Bitcoin or anything. I mean, technically, it's forbidden to spend or buy and sell stuff with Bitcoin, But yeah, anyhow, yeah. So so yeah, we don't know how big of a trouble the taxation is, but as far as I know from my American friends, like they have to keep their books and yeah.
I mean, it's not even just so taxes is definitely, I think, one thing that it's useful for. But if you're running a business on top of it, or if you're a node runner and you want to know how much money a channel is making you, like which channels are doing well, how much are you spending on chain fees, what
Mhm.
should you be like, what are your like costs of running a node, like where are your stats going? Bookkeepers like has all the data to tell you that. It just doesn't have a very nice UI where you can see it. So it's like the idea is that like so part of the projects that I've been working on, like at this point, it's been out for a few years now, but liquidity ads was one of my big projects.
That's also a good one. It's also becoming really popular recently. There's like Magna, and for example, the liquidity as is like we are the terminal, like the pool lightning. No, what was the name of it for?
Yeah, so liquidity ads is a decentralized billboard system for advertising that you will put money into a channel with someone if they buy it from you. The downside is that you had to upgrade to this new dual funding protocol in order to use it. So forever, it's only been Core Lightning to Core Lightning.
Hmm.
But for a long time, like Zero Fee Router was running it. He said like he got like 10% of his channel buys were coming in through it, which is
Good.
pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like it's so decentralized. There's no Bookkeeper is my attempt to get better data on a personal level about who's using it because like there's no central coordinator who sees all
Yeah.
the stuff being made. It's literally peer-to-peer transactions that are done kind of semi-automatically to buy channel liquidity, which is cool. But
It's like you say I want to get, let's say, 10 million satoshis of liquidity, and I'm paying like 2% fees to you for that, and I want this channel to be open for, let's say, 4 months or something, right?
yeah. Yeah. So the liquidity ads is like it's a standard contract. You're buying a promise for 4,000 blocks, which is about a month.
Mm-hmm.
Um and the way it works is like you have extra liquidity and so your node will advertise and then everyone will see your advertisements. And it'll say how much you want to get paid for it, what your base fee is, what the percentage is, etc. Um and then people can look through all the offers, the liquidity ads that are up, and they get sent out over the Lightning Network to everyone. So it's really decentralized billboard. Like if you're running a Lightning node, you already have all the advertisements already on your node. Whether or
Mm-hmm.
not you can see them depends on the Lightning implementation. So Core Lightning, you can pull them out. But that's like the yeah. So it's very different than like Pool is like a central coordinator. You have to like fund an account with them. So you have to lock funds into it that are then available. Um, the other one that came out was Magma. Magma, there's a middleman.
Yeah.
So you depend on their Magma. I like Magma a lot. I think it's really nice. It works. It's the only one that works across every implementation, which is cool. But they do take a fee and the cut in the middle in order to help you facilitate that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
But it's yeah, it's a cool service, and it's really I feel like Magma is probably the most similar to liquidity ads in that if you have liquidity, you go and you create an advertisement on Magma, and then anyone can come along and like buy it from you. So
I used
it's
Magma
nice.
because I had this voltage cloud that was created for Geyser.fund
Oh,
campaign,
cool.
and the zero routing fee guys, this node was down, so I got some extra uh, liquidity from some random people, and of course I wanted to test it, not like I was having donations all the time, but most of everything explained there was to test Geyser and Magma and all that stuff and voltage, so that's
Yeah,
good.
for sure.
And so let's talk about base 58
Okay.
because it's one of the things that you do and I really appreciate it. I'm already enrolled in the course, but
Oh,
yes, but I realized that it's an intermediate course, and so I need to maybe take a Pleb Lab course, which is a beginner course first, and
or
but
maybe we should come out with a beginner course and then have like
yeah,
the stuff. So we only have one class right now. I could talk maybe I should talk a little high level for your viewers about what Base
yes,
58 is and then
also for me too. So
yeah, totally. So Base 58 is a project that I started based off of it's everything that I had to learn about Bitcoin transactions to write some spec stuff around them that I didn't know and couldn't had a lot of trouble finding information out about how Bitcoin transactions work at a very low byte level. So the first class that we have out, and half of the class is currently up on Udemy. I've started teaching it in 4 days. Like I'll do the whole what used to be a 6 week class in 4 days in person. So we did our first one in Mexico City 2 weeks ago, and it went really good. It went really great. I had a friend in the class who's also trying to take the Udemy stuff, and she's like, it's a lot more engaging in person than online. So part of our project. So anyway, so it's like it's a 3 week class on Udemy is up there. We're hoping to add the next like half soon. But the whole idea is that Bitcoin transactions are like really just text documents, right? It's like going to the like I don't know, the tax office and having to fill in a form that says how much you earned that year, right? I don't know what a good example, international example is. But like in America we talk about going to the Department of Motor Vehicles to register your car, right?
yeah, the DMV is everyone's nightmare usually.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if you guys have a DMV. Oh, do you guys have DMVs in Turkey?
Not DMV, but yeah, we go to the police stations to get our, it's a little better than the actual DMV. Like I've been to DMV and wasn't a good experience. So
Yeah, so Bitcoin transactions are hopefully a little bit of a nicer experience than going to the DMV. But the whole idea of the course is that it walks you through what are like so a Bitcoin transaction is a form, right? So we just
mhm.
walk through what are all the fields on the form, what goes in the fields on the form. And so then you learn about like a bunch of other stuff. We also end up learning about Bitcoin script, which is how you lock up coins. And the reason we learn about that is that's two of the fields on the form is Bitcoin
Yeah.
script. So we have to learn about how script works. And then I think the last half of the class is all about signatures. So sometimes people make signatures about Bitcoin transactions. So we talk all about what are digital signatures, how do they work, and look really nuts and bolts. But it's I like to think at least the in-person class is like very hands-on. Like we do a lot of stuff from first principles. I don't really have slides. We just kind of like go through all the stuff by hand. I do the same thing in the class. But we're kind of, I think like one thing I'm working on over Christmas break and hoping to spend more time on next year is making the class a little easier to follow. I think like the videos and stuff has gotten some feedback or just
Mhm.
it was the videos are just kind of cut from all the classes I taught. I used to teach it online, so it's like not I think we can do a better job of presenting the information for like a someone who isn't watching it live and is just going
Mhm.
through it. So we're working on that. Hopefully we'll have some new stuff to launch in a few weeks. So
Actually, we have a meetup in Istanbul that we run, and once a month we get like two people go up and do presentations, Actually, one of the presentations was made by Burak, and it was about scripts and Bitcoin, and the other one was made by Farooq, and it was about the address types and all that stuff. So we kind of had half of a course there, so it was actually cool. And they tried to make it as high level as possible for us because
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think so. The cool thing I think about Base 58, and one thing that I'm really proud about our transactions class, so there's a lot of great info about Bitcoin transactions already out there that's kind of like free materials. Like, why would you pay to take a Base 58 class? The thing that I think we do particularly well is how we walk through all the parts. Like, it's a lot. There's a lot of different parts to it. So the thing you're really like getting, I think, out of Base 58 that makes it, I like to think, like easier to learn than maybe some of the other stuff is that how we like take you kind of like the tour guide was like the tour guide version, if that makes sense. Like we make it all hopefully make sense in like a tour guide way. So by the time you get to the end, you've learned a lot, but it doesn't feel like you had to do a lot of work. But I agree, it's definitely like a more intermediate level class than.
yeah. What would be like a good prerequisite for that?
Yeah, that's a really good
For someone who wants to take the course and
That's a really good question. I wish I knew. I don't really, I feel like maybe working through mastering Bitcoin is a good prerequisite. We also have like an hour and a half lecture on Indianness and encoding. Did you watch that first?
which and coding in
It's
the
like, it talks about what is an Indianness.
yes, I did see that one. Yeah,
Okay.
it's one of the first courses. There was a separate link for that. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like free. It's just like out on YouTube. Okay. That's useful. I think, yeah, I think probably if you've done a little bit of programming in general, like pick a random like programming thing. I wish. I don't know. This is a good question. Maybe we should talk offline and we can help figure out what it is I need to like do to get people to the
you
point where
know,
they take it.
the problem with me and programming, I was never a fan of it, and I was taking this class, and it was talking about how the world is becoming more global, and I was talking about globalization, and at the same time, they were explaining how people send their X-rays to India to get them assessed because it would be cheaper to pay for a doctor there, blah blah blah. And we were taking this Java classes, and a friend of mine and I were like, okay, let's do this, but not for the essays, but for the Java homework. So yeah, we sent our homework to some people in India. We paid them, and we never did any work. So
Oh,
I
that's
yeah.
really clever.
Yeah, because they were teaching us to be a global citizen, and we tried to apply it. And now I don't know any coding, but it's okay.
But you know how to get people to write code for you, which seems like
Yeah,
a pretty useful skill.
yeah. Also, like I even like the name of base 58 because yeah. So when you have 0 and 1, it's binary and it's a base 2,
Mhm.
and Bitcoin uses a base of 58.
Ah, so that's okay. So that's tricky. There's a base 58 is invented by Satoshi, I think, as an encoding, and it was used for, I would call them legacy Bitcoin addresses. That's
Mhm.
like, there's also a few other things that use it, but it's kind of slowly being deprecated out, which is a little sad. I mean, it's a little bit of the story of how Bitcoin has evolved.
Yeah,
Um, that we no longer really use base 58 for things except kind of expect someone to come out of the woodwork and tell me how I'm wrong, but I think I'm not wrong. Yeah. So base 58 is like an encoding for legacy Bitcoin addresses.
yeah, and it's so basically A to Z, both capital letters and small letters. We don't have O's in it.
There's no O's, there's no capital I, and there's no lowercase l.
Okay, so and then also you have 1 to 9, so 10 of them. So
Mhm.
it makes 58 characters.
Yeah, exactly.
Good. I
Yeah.
see. I studied some of the course.
Yeah, that's great. It's like
Yeah,
you definitely learned something. Yeah, like yeah, which is kind of cool.
yeah,
Anyway.
and yeah. So I also want to ask you about like the recent conference you had. in Mexico. I think it was at the beginning of December.
It was like 2 weeks ago, I think, at this point. So like still pretty recent. Yeah, we invited. So I've started running these conferences called Bitcoin Plus Plus. They're meant just to be like basically Bitcoin tech. So there's no, it's basically just like builders and stuff. It's like it's just nerds hanging out talking about Bitcoin. Um, so this last one that we did in Mexico City was based on the theme was on-chain privacy. So we invited people that were working on projects and protocols for on-chain privacy. So Max from Wasabi Wallet was able to come by. We had Waxwing who does join market stuff. We had uh
Mm-hmm.
Dustin
That's
Dusty.
Damon.
Yeah, who's working on splicing, which is
Yeah.
sort of a form of doing coin join stuff on Lightning. It builds on some of the stuff I worked on. We had Ben Carmen who did LN Vortex, Lightning Vortex, which is an application that lets you do coin joins and
It's like
Lightning
a
transactions.
purple for lightning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, so we had all these people out and they all gave good talks and had kind of Socratic seminars sort of discussions about privacy and some of the hard problems in privacy and kind of what their current thinking is. Yeah, so it was really good. It was a really great conference. It was the first one, I think. I think it was one of the first Bitcoin conferences to happen in Mexico. So it's cool that
Okay.
that we got to make it Bitcoin plus plus. One thing that I hadn't really thought through when decided to do it in Mexico is that because I live in America, I live in Texas, and the last conference I ran was in Texas. But having it out of the States made it really possible for a lot of people who don't want to come into America to come to a conference. So it actually worked out really well. Um,
I know people don't like to fly over America or something as well. Some people, yeah.
yeah, especially for that kind of topic. Anyways,
Well, Turkey could be a good place for a conference because Istanbul airport has connections from everywhere. So just keep that in your mind. In
yeah,
case, yeah.
let's talk. I'm down
Yeah,
for.
we actually lightning hack days in the beginning of the year with Fulma.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good actually. Yeah. Well, yeah. So give it a thought, and maybe we'll have a BTC plus plus event here as well.
So I have a question for you. It's like you run a Lightning node, right? What is like, I guess, like, what is one thing as like a Lightning person, like who works on Lightning? What do you have any feature requests? I don't know. Like, what is one thing on Lightning that you think would make it easier or change your life?
Well, I think so. Okay. You already have it though. There's like the the LM boss. I don't know which one you have for the core lightning that manages your channels.
Yeah, we have Ride the Lightning. Oh, no, we have CL
No,
Boss, I think.
Cialbas, yes,
Yeah.
Cialbas. I didn't use it, but I heard real good things about it. So for a newcomer, I think managing channels is a problem.
Mhm.
Like people don't know who they should open channels to and who they should get liquidity from. So of course, it's like a traveling salesman question with so many networks around, but that's something important. And yeah, the green light stuff would also make life easier for non-technical people because first of all, running a server in your house is costly, so not a lot of people can do that. And running stuff on Raspberry Pi is, for me, I have it for 2 years now, and I'm literally expecting every day for it to fail, because it's a very small computer and it has a like expiry date. So yeah, that would be good. And but yeah, basically, and I'm hoping that the Santa delivers your gift this year and you get some dashboard for the
Me too.
yeah.
Me too. Cool.
Yeah. Well, thanks a lot for your time. Do you have any final message that you want to give?
My final message, check out the Base 58 Udemy class. It's a great Christmas present for all the Bitcoin nerds in your life. And keep track of, we'll have more updates on, oh wait, sorry, I have a lot of things. So follow Base 58 has a Twitter account. Base 58 BTC is the best way to get new info. We're really hoping to get some new stuff out soon that I'm excited about. There's been rumors of a Taproot class, so that's exciting. And then if you want to come hang out, I like to joke that they're great, basically me inviting all my favorite Bitcoin builders to hang out for a week. We're doing another Bitcoin plus plus in Austin the last week of April. There's tickets available on BTC Pay server, but I still have to update the website. It's still showing the Mexico stuff. So hopefully that'll be done by the end of the year.
I checked it like yesterday, actually. They're still in Mexico.
It's still Mexico, yeah. So I need to get
needs to travel to Austin.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So we got to get the website updated to Austin, but hoping to get that done before the end of the year so people can get a little better info about it.
Yeah. Well, thanks a lot. And yeah, hope to see you around.
Same. Maybe we'll do, maybe we'll come through Turkey sometime soon. That'd be cool.
Oh, maybe I'll come to Austin sometime. I really want to visit there. I was thinking the end of this year, but didn't happen in August. Yeah.
It's hot in August. Come in April. Come for Bitcoin plus plus in April.
That sounds good.
Yeah, the weather's great. Like, yeah.
I had a roommate from Austin, so I heard so many good things about Austin.
It's really nice. Yeah.
I'll try to come in April. Yeah.
Great. We look forward to it.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
P2P'nin bu bölümünün de sonuna geldik. Liza ile olan bu teknik bölüm umarım ki hoşunuza gitmiştir. Ve eğer hoşunuza gittiyse lütfen kanalı takip etmeyi, bildirimleri açmayı ve bizi izlemeyi unutmayın. Önümüzdeki bölümlerde görüşmek üzere.